Hello everyone. Okay, today's topic will be add and subtract unlike mix fractions. Questions like this, I will do some examples with you step by step. Okay, first of all, what are mixed numbers? These are some examples of mixed numbers. Let's look at 4.5. 4 is a whole number and a fraction called a mixed number. Sometimes I like to call this rojak because mixed together whole number and fraction. Okay, let's look at another example. 5 and 1/3. 5 is the whole number and 1/3 is the fraction. Again, it's called a mixed number, rojak of whole number and fraction. Let's look at another example. 3 is a whole number. 2/7 is a fraction. Again, I will call this a mixed number. Okay, let's go through the rules of fractions. Okay. Number 1. For adding and subtracting fractions, what is the rule? The denominator must be the same. Okay, let's go through the rules. Adding and subtracting denominator must be the same. In this instance, the denominator is 4 and the denominator is 4. So, yes, is the denominator the same? Yes, it is. So, we can just add 2 plus 1 is 3 and the denominator 4, we just put 4. Okay, so what happens if the denominator is not the same? For example, 1/3 plus 1/2. Then what shall we do? Okay, so 1/3 plus 1/2 are called unlike fractions because the denominator is not the same. Here is 3, here is 2. So in this instance, what shall we do? Okay, we shall start with making the denominator the same. So step 1, how do we make the denominator the same? I shall call this marrying fractions. Okay, 3 shall marry 2 and 2 shall marry 3 to make it the same. By marrying, I mean multiplication. Okay, so let's start. 3, the denominator, 3 times 2 below here. So you marry this fraction times 2 and times 2 on top. Whatever you do to the denominator, you have to do the same to the numerator. So 3 times 2, 1 times 2. On the other side, we shall put 2 shall marry 3 to make the denominator the same. 2 times 3. 2, whatever you do to the denominator, you should do to the numerator. So you times 3 at the denominator, you should times 3 at the numerator. And we have 1 times 2 is 2 over 3 times 2 is 6 plus 1 times 3 is 3. 2 times 3 is 6. And now, the rule for fractions, addition and subtraction is the denominator must be the same. Is this the same? Yes, good job. So what do we do? Last step, we add. 2 plus 3 is 5. 6 just remains as 6. Do not add 6 plus 6 is 12. Please, this is the correct answer. Okay, so what happens if you have 3 and 1/5 plus 3 and 1/2? Okay, let's look at this. 3 is a whole number, 3 is a whole number. 1 over 5 is a fraction and 1 over 2 is a fraction. So this 3 and 1 over 5 is a mixed number. 3 and 1 over 2 is a mixed number. Both are mixed numbers. We are adding one mixed number plus another mixed number. Okay, there are two parts to this question. Okay, first is the rule. Okay, the rule is, are the denominators the same? No, they are not. They are not the same at all. One is 5, one is 2. Alright, so what should we do to the denominator in this mixed fraction? We shall change it. Yes, 5 and 2. Let's ignore the mixed number for the time being. Let's ignore this, okay? So let's change the denominator and make it to the same denominator, the common denominator. So we take 5 times 2. What we do at the denominator, we must do at the numerator. 1 times 2. Let's look at the other fraction, 2. How do we make it the same? We take 2 times 5. What we do to the denominator, we do to the numerator. So we times 5 to the numerator as well. This I call marrying fractions. They marry each other, or you can also say crisscross. Okay, so let's continue. So we write it down as 3. 1 times 2 is 2. 5 times 2 is 10. Plus, we write down the whole number 3. We copy it down. Okay. 1 times 5 is 5. Over 2 times 5 is 10. Alright, good job. We have the denominator as the same. 10, 10. Now we can easily add. So how shall we do this? Okay, let's look at the number, the whole number first. 3 and 3. 3 plus 3 is 6. So the whole number is 6. Now let's add the fractions. 2 over 10 plus 5 over 10 is 7 over 10. 2 plus 5 is 7 and the denominator 10. So we have the answer 6, 7 over 10. Okay, let's go through another example, this time minusing mixed numbers. This is a whole number and a fraction called a mixed number. 5 and 1/3 minus another mixed number, 2 and 1 over 4. Let's start, okay? So let's ignore our whole number first and let's look at our fraction. Does it break the rule? Yes, the rule is the denominators must be the same in adding and subtracting fractions. The denominator must be the same in adding and subtracting fractions. We have 3 and we have 4. Okay, we shall use the marrying method. Alright, 3 and 4. So let's do 3 first. 3 times 4. Whatever you do to the denominator, you must do to the numerator. Okay? Whatever you do to the denominator, you must do to the numerator. So, okay, 3 times 4. Here will be 4 times 3. Whatever you do to the denominator, you must do to the numerator. So 1 times 3. Alright. So we have 5 wholes. We just copy it down. And 1 times 4 is 4. 3 times 4 is 12. And we bring the minus sign down. Minus 2, we copy down the whole number. 1 times 3 is 3. 4 times 3 is 12. Let's minus. Okay, now we can look at the whole number. 5 minus 2 is 3. 4 over 12 minus 3 over 12 is 1 over 12, as 4 minus 3 is 1, and the denominator stays the same. Right, we've got the answer, 3 and 1 over 12. Do not need to simplify.